Thank you. Do we have any apologies for absence?
Yes, we do. Thank you. I've received apologies from Councillors Alan Hale, Dave Harding, Sean Hughes, Sam Kelly, Bharat Pankania and Alison Stretfield-James. Thank you. And Dina from Paul Crossley as well. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, we move on to item 3 on the agenda, which is the election of chair for 24-25. Can I call on Councillor Heathcote, please?
Thank you. I am delighted to be able to propose Councillor Karen Walker for the position of Chair of Bath North East Somerset Council for the year 2024-2025. Karen is community through and through. She has spent the last 20 years leading and running projects in Peasdown St John. 9 of those years have been as an elected representative here on the Council. She is one of the founders of Peasdown's popular Party in the Park Festival and the founder of the Peasdown Community Library. Over the years, she has raised over £50,000 for good causes in Peasdown St John and has championed a range of causes from additional tree planting to better access to mental health support services for her constituents. As one of the local authority's longer-serving councillors, I know she'll represent the council well, out and about across the district and at events and engagements. I have huge delight in proposing that my fellow ward councillor, Karen Walker, should be the chair of Bath North East Somerset Council for the forthcoming year.
Thank you. Councillor Guy, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'm very pleased to second this nomination. Karen is a very experienced councillor and chair, and I believe this is the second time you'll be chair. So I'm sure you'll bring, I think this is a rare occasion that somebody's been a second chair, so congratulations on that. I'm sure you'll bring your vast experience to bear. You were a former chair of the scrutiny committee, you're also leader of the independent group. A lot of people in the chamber weren't here when you were chair in 2018, but I know from speaking to people that were that you carried out your duties exceptionally well. You were very committed to those duties, and you were a great advocate for Bath and North Somerset Council. So on behalf of the council, I'm very pleased to second the nomination.
Thank you. Do we have any other nominations, please? No? In which case, Councillor Moss.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to agree with the nominations for Karen as chair. I was slightly surprised when I came in. I thought you were looking a bit subdued, but then I remembered when you were nominated for vice chair last year in bright orange, we thought we were going to have to wear sunglasses. But it's, I think, as Kevin said, you have been chair before, very experienced, and I'm sure that you will enjoy your year as chair, and I'm also sure that Bath and North East Somerset Council will benefit from your year as chair. Thank you for taking the job on.
Thank you. Councillor Warren.
Yeah, thank you. I remember it well, actually, when you were... I remember well when you were chair before. And this is great, this is. And no, you're a great ambassador, and you'll be a great ambassador and a great advocate for the council, actually. It was a great pleasure. We worked quite closely together before, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what you do again this time, but well done. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wright.
Thank you. Oh, is it just me? No. Hello. Thank you, Councillor Walker, for taking this position. We look forward to working with you in the next year. And I was aware that in 2019 you were just stepping down, and it would be nice to see how you take this role forward in the year to come. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to put this nomination to the vote. We're using the new electronic system. I'll just pass to Joe to explain.
Hopefully,
I've used the machine.
yes. Hopefully it's very straightforward, but you're just pressing the blue button to open your vote, and then you're voting for, against, or abstain. For, against, or abstain. So I think.
Dave, can I just check? Oh.
Thank you. The vote is now closed. It was unanimous, I'm pleased to say. Thank you. Well done.
Congratulations, Karen.
Thank you. I, Karen Walker, have been elected to the office of Chair of Bath and North East Somerset Council, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it accordingly to the best of my judgment and ability.
Thank you. If you could just sign there. That's great. So you're going to swap places.
Thank you, Sarah. I'd now like to invite a proposal from the floor for a Vice Chair of Council, and I believe that's Councillor Moss.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to propose Councillor Elizabeth Hardman to the role of Vice Chair of the Council, or I suppose to use, if we're going to be formal, to use her proper title of Paulton Liz, because Liz has been a councillor for Paulton for many years, since 2011, as well as being a parish councillor. She has been very involved in Paulton with whether it be the swimming pool, whether it be the cafe, whether it be the community fridge, and is a real community activist with her friends and with her neighbours. I'm sure some of you know that Liz's background is in teaching, that she worked in secondary education, and that she was an assistant head. So I should imagine dealing with a room of councillors is not going to be a problem. In fact, I keep looking in the mirror and reminding myself that I don't think Liz will find it a problem throughout the next through the next year. So, being brief, happy to propose Liz for this role, and I'm sure that she will fulfil it as she has done over a number of years as a Baines councillor and as committee, as a panel vice chair, with the same amount of professionalism, dedication and humour as she always does.
Thank you, Robin. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Guy?
Thank you very much, Chair. Yeah, I'd just like to carry on with Robin's comments. More than happy to second this nomination. Liz is an extremely experienced councillor. It's a fourth term, if I'm correct. For people who don't know, Liz is extremely passionate about children's services and is very committed to everything to do with children and young people. And as Robin has said, she has experience as a teacher and a school governor, and hopefully she won't have to use too many of her classroom behaviour skills in the council, but more than happy to second. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. Is there any other nominations for Vice Chair? I don't see any in the room, so we'll move to the vote. All those in favour?
Thank you. I'm pleased to say that's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I invite Liz to join us, I'm just going to do my acceptance speech, actually, which I forgot to do. So I'd like to thank you all this evening for putting your faith into me to be the next chairwoman of Bath and North East Somerset Council. I particularly want to thank Gavin Heathcote for nominating me and Councillor Kevin Guy for seconding the nomination. And thanks to the group leaders for their kind words and to the fellow councillors in this room tonight. I'm hugely honoured to be elected to this position, and as Councillor Guy said, a second time in 9 years as a councillor. Since I first started to get involved in my own community all those years ago, I've passionately believed in ensuring everyone has the same opportunities and the same chances in life. It's because of this that my theme for this year is Inclusion for All, Living Life to the Full. Inclusion for all, because all people, regardless of gender, faith, nationality, are welcome here in Bath and North East Somerset. Living life to the full, because people of all ages should feel that they can get involved in their local communities and activities and not feel isolated. It's been a great pleasure to support Councillor Sarah Moore in her role as Chair of the Council, and I wish her well. I hope to use my position as chairwoman to engage with as many people in the community, so if any of you know of any groups or organisations who would like me to attend, please get in touch. Thank you. So may I ask Liz Hardman to join us, please?
Right, my Vice Chair's declaration of acceptance of office. I, Liz Hardman, having been elected to the office of Vice Chair of Bath and North East Somerset Council, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. It seems very high up here, so I do hope the power will not go to my head. Thank you very much, fellow councillors, for nominating me as Vice Chair of this committee. I'm very, very pleased to accept. Thank you, Councillor Guy and Councillor Moss, for your very kind comments. I will support our new Chair, Councillor Walker, to the very best of my ability, and the residents of Bath and North East Somerset, and of course you, the Council. And I look forward to doing this in my new role. Thank you.
So we'll move on to the next item, which is the minutes of the Council meeting the 14th of March 2024. Do I have a proposer on the floor that they are correct? Councillor Jackson. A seconder? Sorry, names is gone. No, it was Michelle O'Doherty. Sorry. Right, so everybody agree with the minutes from the last meeting? Yep. Right, so we need to go to the vote.
Thank you. We have one abstention, everyone else in favour. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. So do we have any declarations of interest on the agenda items this evening? No. Wonderful. Right. So announcements from the Chair or the Chief Executive. I would like to present Councillor Moore with her past Chair's badge, if I may. I would like now to ask for a formal vote of thanks to Councillor Sarah Moore. So I believe Councillor Guy is going to move the motion.
Thank you, Chair. Yep, it gives me great personal pleasure to move this vote of thanks. Sarah's been a superb chair over the past year and has helped guide us all very smoothly through the first new term. Particularly a great help to new councillors who have helped move smoothly into this very difficult chamber at times. She's also presided over the special recognition of the honorary eldermen and elderwomen, which is an event that happens very rarely, every few years, so congratulations for doing that. And outside the chamber, Sarah has had a very busy term in office, and I know both she and Sean have enjoyed carrying out her civic engagements. I think particular favourites must have been attending the engagements featuring choirs, live music, in particular in the festivals and concerts that we are so very proud of in Bath and North East Somerset, such as the Voices for Life for Children's Choir was a particular pleasure, I believe, for Sarah. I know she is very proud to represent the council on important occasions, such as the Community Awards, the planting of the oak tree to commemorate Her Majesty the King's coronation and Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Cutting of ribbons is a foregone skill for chairs, and she's done that exceptionally well. And presiding over citizenship ceremonies is always a pleasure. Sarah has carried out her duties with confidence, and I'd like to use the word kindness, which is a rare and undervalued quality in today's society. So I'm very, very pleased to propose this vote of thanks for Sarah. Well done.
Thank you, Councillor Guy. A seconder, please. Councillor Moss.
Thank you very much. I think I'd echo the sentiments expressed by Kevin about the last year. I think that the way that Sarah has gone about her task, if you like, or her duties as chair has been exemplary. And I think a word that Kevin used a couple of times was smoothly. I know myself, if you have to chair meetings, and chairing meetings of politicians is never that easy, that to do it in a way without any rows, any expulsions or any sanctions is a compliment to her chairing skills rather than our behaviour, I'm sure. So thank you for undertaking this task for the last year. I'm sure that look forward to going back to Twerton and joining us on the floor of the chamber. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Councillor Moss. Councillor Blackburn.
Yes, thank you, Sarah. On behalf of all the independent councillors, I'd just like to give our very grateful thanks for both your hard work and all the efforts on our behalf over the last year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Blackburn. Councillor Wright.
Hello. Sorry. Thank you, Councillor Moore, for your outstanding contribution to the role of chair at Bath and North East Somerset Council. Over the last year as chair, you have shown great dedication and a great deal of time to this chamber, and for the many other duties that you are expected to carry out in this role. We thank you very much for your service.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. Councillor Warren.
Thank you. There's not much to say after Councillor Moss, because he obviously said as much as he could, which is quite usual. But no, thank you, Sarah, for all you've done, because they say you not only represent the council, you actually represent us as well. I think you've done a great job. And the biggest compliment I can give you is actually, we haven't really noticed your chairing of this meeting, which is great, because if you can just chair this meeting, and it's frictionless, if there's such a word, then I think you've done a great job. So on behalf of us, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Warren. May I ask Councillor Sarah Moore to make her speech?
Thank you. It's been a real honour and privilege to have been the Chair of Bath and North East Somerset Council over the past 12 months and would like to wish our new Chair all the best in her year of office. I have been fortunate to attend a large number of events in both Bath and North East Somerset this year and would like to thank all the organisers and volunteers that give up their time so selflessly in our communities to support our residents, both young and old, and make such a difference. I have welcomed over 250 new UK citizens to our area during their citizenship ceremonies, met with a number of our veterans at various events throughout the year. I've listened to our young children sing with Voices for Life, attended my first ever graduation event, met members of our royal family, along with the Mayor, was showered with lettuce during a Chinese lion dance welcoming in the Chinese New Year. I was assured it was a blessing of good fortune for the coming year. There have been so many engagements that there's not enough time to mention them all. But the one thing that is very clear to me is that our communities are full of so many people that give up their time to help and support others in a variety of ways, which we should all be very grateful for. I would like to thank the Lord Lieutenant of Somerset, his deputies and High Sheriff for both joining me at citizenship ceremonies and inviting me to a number of important events across our area, including the recent British Empire Medal ceremony held at the American Museum. I would also like to thank all Bain staff for their support they have given me, as well as all the members in this chamber for giving me this opportunity. Finally, I would like to thank my family and friends, especially my husband and consort Sean, for always being by my side. Thank you.
Right, may I remind everyone to switch their phones off or onto silent. Remind members to use their microphones when they speak. Please don't put any paperwork in front of your microphones because we won't be able to hear you. And to remember to switch your microphone off after speaking. So just to let you all know that the meeting is being webcast, and if anybody doesn't wish to be filmed, please make themselves known to the camera operators so they're aware. No, thank you. So to announce any urgent business agreed by the Chair, there is none. Okay, so the next item is appointment of committees, panels and annual business. So can I ask Councillor Guy to move this motion?
Thank you very much, Chair. Colleagues, I'm very pleased to move the annual business paper. As you will see from the report, there are no proposed changes to the committee structure or group allocations. This is a simple decision to roll everything forward for the next municipal year. I'd like to thank all colleagues for their hard work in the council committees and panels. These represent a significant commitment, particularly for those which the committees involve a lot of reading or are longer meetings, such as the planning and licensing committees. Your contribution is really appreciated. PDS have been very busy this year with important work in policy development area. This is something I hope we will do more of and look forward to the annual report coming to council soon. Thank you also to the member advocates for their engagement over the past year and for your reports, which are included in Appendix 3. Please make sure that you liaise regularly with your Cabinet members as indicated in the role description. I'm sure this has been an exciting year for all of us and particularly those councillors who've been elected for the first time. I hope you're all finding your feet. Thank you for your thoughtful contributions at council meetings and particularly on motions and important issues such as knife crime in the local area, debate not hate and tackling the care experience discrimination. And while I have the floor, Chair, I'd like to take the opportunity to highlight a few of the council's achievements for the past year, which we are particularly proud of. Many of us attended the formal opening of the new refuge and recycling centre at Pixash Lane in February. This is a state-of-the-art facility built to the highest environmental standards and including the brilliant refuse shop. We're really proud to have delivered this massive investment for our residents. Housing is one of the most challenging issues we face in Baines, so we're delighted to be pushing forward with directly providing more housing, including specialist and temporary accommodation. Just last week, planning permission was given for 10 new apartments in Keynsham, adding to the units already delivered and the others under construction in Bath and North East Somerset. Now, setting a balanced budget for the financial year was a massive achievement. Despite the enormous financial pressures of all councils, from inflation demand and government cuts, we are able to protect frontline services and invest in residents' priorities, building on the past 5 years of financial sound management. We're delivering transport and regeneration schemes across our area, including the start of the work of the new Market Square in Midsummer Norton, and our heritage services are now exceeding pre-COVID income, and we welcomed over 1 million visitors to the Roman Baths last year. So a particular thanks to our heritage team for that. Finally, I am ridiculously proud, and I'm sure as we all are, that last month we brought adult social care services back in-house to this council. It's a testament to the skill and hard work of the team who managed that process. It has gone incredibly smoothly, without disruption. So I'd like to congratulate that team and welcome the hundreds of new members of staff who have joined Bath and North and Somerset Council. Finally, I would like to thank all of the officers and the staff of this council for their continued hard work, not just for this year, but every previous year. They do an extremely hard job on our behalf, and I'm sure we are all very proud of that work. This council is bolder, better, and delivering more than ever before, with a large number of exciting and transformational projects in the pipeline. And accordingly, I'm very proud to move the recommendations 2.1 to 2.11. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Guy. Can I ask Councillor Moss to second this motion?
Thank you. Happy to second this motion, rolling forward the committee places into the next year. I'm sure that there's many of parts of Kevin's speech that we could have a discussion over, but I would echo his points about thanking the officers of the council for the work they do in what are difficult financial times and difficult financial circumstances. Happy to second.
Thank you, Councillor Moss. I have Sean Stevenson-McGaw wishes to speak.
Thank you very much, Chair. I just wanted to say that on Appendix 2, on page 2 of the political proportionality proposals, there's a typographical error when it comes to the pensions investment panel. For the other members, co-opted members, it should read 3, not 4.
Thank you very much for noting that. Yes, very well spotted. They've just told me to tell you that, okay? Right. Councillor Crosley.
Thank you very much. First of all, I hope you don't mind if I speak, because it's not strictly about the appointments, but I've been in Bristol Crown Court all week and I completely forgot to put in a request to make a statement on the Avon Pension Fund. So what I'd like to do at this point is make a brief statement about the Avon Pension Fund, if you will agree.
Happy to.
Thank you very much, Chair. So we've had a very stable committee now, and hopefully it'll be the same group going forward, and it's very successful. And really what I wanted to update the council is about the local impact investments that we've been doing, and which I notified council last year. In 2023, the Avon Pension Fund agreed to allocate 3% of its assets, and that is £175 million to local impact investments. This allocation is designed to maximise social, economic and climate impact on a local scale, and will invest primarily in 3 broad sectors: renewable energy, affordable housing and small business funding. We have already started to deploy capital, and we have invested 50 million in 17 operational solar farms across the southwest, capable of generating 200 megawatts, powering the equivalent of 70,000 homes annually. Investing in renewables and other energy transition assets is vital if we are to deliver our 2045 net zero target. We're now considering investments of 50 million in affordable housing, which will focus on general needs housing focused on key workers. The investments will contribute to affordable properties for rent and is expected to fund circa 250 new high-spec energy-efficient homes. We have leveraged Brunel's extensive network to appoint best-in-class investment managers and have collaborated with Brunel, particularly LGPS funds, to bring these projects to fruition, hence realising lower fees and executing more quickly. The local impact portfolio is a natural continuation of the fund's investment strategy, which has seen it invest considerable capital in renewable infrastructure and companies critical to low-carbon transition over the past 2 decades. Sourcing appropriate local investments for pension fund capital is challenging and requires determination and diligence. Hence, I'd like to extend my thanks to the APF Investment Panel and Committee who have shown their support throughout and helped to make the local impact portfolio a reality. The fund's capital will make a material contribution to local people and local places for decades to come. I look forward to sharing the news of new investments with you when transactions complete and showing how these investments deliver attractive financial returns for the Avon Pension Fund. And finally, I'd just once more like to thank all the committee members, which is cross-party in this chamber. Thank you for allowing me to speak when it's not strictly the agenda item.
Thank you, Councillor Crossley, for your Pensions Committee reports. Very much appreciated. So, do we have any other speakers on this item? Did you have a question, David? Yep.
Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you. Very clear. I noticed that you talked about investment in renewable, and one of the other things you mentioned, and I didn't hear the phrase correctly, was other energy transition. Can you find it? Other energy transition something. So I wonder whether that would include investment in these new modular nuclear reactors, which are part of the energy transition intentions.
We haven't ruled at this moment.
Can we take this out of council? So this, because it's not strictly questions on that statement?
It was from the statement.
Yeah, but we don't do questions. You asked about the structure of the committees and the panels, so you would do a statement. You can't ask a question on a statement, not in this meeting. Okay?
Thank you, Chair. That's
but Paul,
clear.
I'm sure will happily answer you out of council. Thank you very much. So we have Eleanor Jackson. Thank you.
You're quite correct, Councillor Jackson, and then Paul was able to join us, so I note that there are no apologies. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Eleanor. So shall we move to the vote for or against or abstain? Thank you.
Sorry, Dave. What's that?
If the other transition energy thing I was happy.
No, they're not.
It's voting for the committees and places.
It's not on that. Paul was using this as an opportunity to make a statement. It should have been separate. He was just making it here. So we're not accepting or whatever his statement. It's not agreeing or whatever. And I don't think we do either.
But you will give a report to another council meeting where you can do ask that question.
I was going to say, yeah.
Okay, I think Joe's going to announce the vote.
Yes, thank you. That's unanimous. Thank you.
So that's carried. Thank you very much. So we move on to item 10, which is Constitution, establishment of the establishment of the Constitution Working Group and minor updates to notes. So I believe Councillor David Wood is going to move this motion.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm pleased to move item 10, establishment of the Constitution Working Group and minor updates to note. I'd like to thank the officers for their work on this so far.
That was very quick. Thank you very much. So, Councillor Moss, the second.
Thank you. Happy to second this. The primary purpose of this Constitution Working Group is to look at the financial regulations and contract standing orders. As I'm sure everyone is aware, the government has changed the procurement rules in legislation from the beginning of this year, but need to introduce some secondary legislation in order to put those in place. I understand from officers that they anticipate a final report coming back to the November council meeting. They just haven't allocated a year yet. So the way this government is working at the moment, we're not sure when that secondary legislation is going to come through. So it promises to be a wild and exciting ride going through the standing orders looking at this. But there is a second part that I'd like to raise, and that is on point 1.1. The report invites establishment of the Constitution Working Group to consider those sections and pick up any further items, including in scope, which is a kind of slightly wider remit as well. I'd like to raise the issue, and I do this as I chaired the Constitution Working Group that reported the year before last, that this constitution, the initial constitution that we amended, was designed about 30 years ago for a council that is hung. And a lot of the numbers and the remit within this is anticipating that it's either a hung council or it's a council that has relatively close number of members in groups. And I'm sure looking at the group opposite, smiling, that they know that is no longer the case, and that with 40-odd councillors, clearly a good majority. But that does mean that some of the elements within the Constitution, for example, asking to have a 10-minute debate on questions, is limited to those political groups who have 20% of the numbers in council, and that applies just to the Liberal Democrat group, and also the limit on the number of call-ins from councillors, or the ability for councillors to have call-ins. I would be surprised to see a call-in coming from Liberal Democrats, as I'm sure Kevin would be more surprised. So what I would, and that's two examples, what I think is worth looking at, and I'm not making any proposals at this point, is to look at the Constitution in the light of the fact that we actually have a group with a large majority, and how do we make sure that opposition groups can do our job properly, which is about scrutiny and is about challenge, because I don't believe that the current Constitution actually takes it up properly. Happy to second. I'm sure that, well, I think I'm going to be on the group because the rest of my group took a step backwards when they are looking for volunteers, and it'd be something that I will raise on that group.
Thank you, Councillor Moss. Do we have anybody else that wishes to speak on this motion? No? So we will, not unless Councillor Wood wishes to sum up.
That's great. Lots of great ideas from Councillor Moss there, and happy to move to the vote.
Thank you.
Thank you for voting. That is passed and that's unanimous.
That's carried. Thank you. So we now move on to question statements from the public. I just want to refer to the questions and answers which has been submitted, has been circulated. So we have 12 registered speakers. The first two, Chad Allen and Tatiana Bird, have not yet turned up. So we will move to the third speaker, which is Lara Amaro.
Hello everyone, and thank you for having me here. I am here today to share my story with you. My name is Lara and I am a proud Bath resident. Yesterday marked the 76th anniversary of the Nakba, the catastrophe, the expulsion of 750,000 Palestinians from their homes back in Palestine in 1948. 76 years passed and we still are witnessing another Nakba in Gaza. Currently there are 12 million Palestinians in exile And I am one of these 12 million people, and I am here to share my story with you. My grandparents from my mom's side escaped their home in Haifa and walked all the way to Jordan refugee camps. My father was 3 years old when his family evacuated from Hebron and moved to Jordanian refugee camps as well. My two families closed their homes, took their home's keys with them, and took asylum in Jordan, hoping that it will be a week, the war will be over, a month, the year will be over. 76 years have passed, and they haven't returned to their homes yet. My grandparents have passed, my parents have passed, and I am still here hoping to go home, and I still have the keys to my family homes back in Palestine. But right now, there are settlements built on these homes. My family home has been demolished. Israeli settlements will build on it. They will build on the blood of my people. But in another way, Jordan has given me and my family citizenship, has given me nationality. I was able to study at the University of Jordan. I was able to work with the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, assisting refugees in Jordan, 1 million refugees from 56 nationalities. It was my way of giving back to what humanitarian agencies provided to my family when they lived in refugee camps in Jordan by the UNRWA, which funds have been cut from them recently. And because of that, my mom got a bachelor's degree in physics. My dad got a master's degree in mathematics. And now I am studying international development with conflict and humanitarian action at the University of Bath. My bleed and ask for you, there are currently 17,000, if not more, children who are in Gaza right now, have been separated from their parents, and who are not able to seek help, education, or refuge anywhere. I don't want to see another child getting drowned in the Mediterranean or being deported, sent back to a war zone. I am here, I am alive in front of you today because I was given asylum, and I'm hoping that these children in Gaza are also considered, and thank you.
Thank you, Laura. So, Councillor Guy, do you have a factual question for Laura, please?
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much, Laura, for your very moving statement, but no factual questions.
Thank you so much.
Councillor Moss.
Thank you very much for a very powerful, informative statement. No factual questions, but thank you.
Thank you so much.
Councillor Blackburn.
Thank you, Laura, for sharing your story, but no factual questions.
Thank you so much.
Councillor Wright.
Hello. Thank you, Laura Amro, for your very powerful statement. As a Baines resident, is there anything that you think this council could do to support you?
I think it's basically to discuss and to see whatever is possible within your power in order to advocate for the children who are in Gaza to be able to come here to seek protection and help. Thank you.
And Councillor Warren.
Factual questions, but thank you very much for bringing that home to us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you so
Very
much.
nice to meet you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
your time. Thank you, everyone.
May I ask Amira Labaka to come up, please? Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name's Amira, thank you for having me. I just wanted to speak a little bit about the importance of a family scheme for British citizens like me with family in Gaza and what that would mean for us and for them. The UK has a proud tradition of helping those most in need flee from oppression worldwide. From Jewish people escaping Hitler in the 1930s and 40s to those fleeing war in Ukraine in 2022, the importance of temporary resettlement schemes is no secret to the UK. However, it appears that this tradition has been abandoned when it comes to protecting civilian life in Gaza. So why are Palestinian lives not worthy of protection? The atrocities taking place in Gaza are simply unprecedented. In 8 months, over 35,000 people have been killed, almost 80,000 people have been injured, 85% of the population has been displaced, and 100% of the population are experiencing hunger crisis, described by the UN as a war on children. Children are currently starving at the fastest rate the world has ever seen. Around 10 children lose their limbs every single day, and there are so many wounded unaccompanied children that doctors have had to create the devastating new acronym WCNSF, Wounded Child No Surviving Family. Top UN official Martin Griffiths described the humanitarian in Gaza as the worst he has ever seen in his 50-year career. And why? He puts it down to the fact that, and I quote, people can't escape, they're blocked in, they're not able to run out of Gaza, end of quote. It is for this reason that I'm calling on the Council to put pressure on the government to launch a family scheme similar to that of the Homes for Ukrainian schemes, which would allow Palestinians in Gaza to reunite with their family members here in the UK temporarily until it is safe for them to return. At our present, families are being torn apart, with many British citizens left to make the impossible decision: escape death but leave your spouse and children behind, or remain in Gaza with your loved ones but await the fate of death. The implication of a family reunion scheme would be absolutely life-changing for families trapped in this excruciating situation. It would also be life-changing for the many, many orphans living alone in Gaza who may have family here in the UK wishing that they could take care of them. As a British citizen of Palestinian descent, I know the profound impact that a scheme like this would have for families living in the UK with loved ones trapped in Gaza. Just recently, my family received the devastating news that my two twin distant cousins were killed at just 3 years old as they played in their uncle's lap before an airstrike hit their home and plunged them beneath mountains of rubble. They, like many others, would still be here today, experiencing the childhood that they should have had if the UK had established a family scheme granting them the safety that they deserved. As your constituents, we put our trust in you to use your power to pass a motion urging the government to set up a family reunion scheme that would protect human life and ensure the right to family unity. Thank you so much for your understanding.
Councillor Guy, any factual questions?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Amira, for a very, very moving statement. Would you be willing to meet with a Cabinet Member for Children's Services to discuss the issues you've raised?
Yeah, absolutely. I would really appreciate that. Thank you.
Councillor Moss.
I think, like Councillor Guy, thanking you for a very powerful statement. And I would hope that opposition parties could be involved in those discussions and build on the experience of not only supporting families from Ukraine, but also families from Syria as well. I think we have expertise that could actually build on that.
Oh, amazing.
Thank you for your statement.
Councillor Blackburn.
Thank you, Amira, for your statement, but no factual questions.
Councillor Wright.
Thank you. Defer to Councillor Ross, please.
Thank you for your statement. Are you aware that the Green Group is planning on bringing a peace motion again to the full council in the future?
I am, and I'm really grateful for that. Thank you for your work.
Councillor Warren.
Thank you very much, but no factual questions.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for your time.
May I ask Jane Sampson, please, come forward?
Thank you. 3 minutes, yeah. 3 minutes. When do I start?
It'll come up on here.
Run, the Israelis demand. Run for your lives. Run from Rafah the way you ran from Gaza City, the way you ran from Jabalia, the way you ran from Dar al-Bala, the way you ran from Beit Hanun, the way you ran from Bani Suhaila, the way you ran from Khan Yunis. Run, or we will kill you. We will drop 2,000-pound bunker buster bombs on your tent encampments. We will spray you with bullets from our machine gun-equipped drones. We will pound you with artillery and tank shells. We will shoot you down with snipers. We will decimate your tents, your refugee camps, your cities and towns, your homes, your schools, your hospitals, and your water purification plants. We will rain death from the sky, and we will laugh. Run for your lives again and again and again. Run, run, run. And when you run in terror to one part of Gaza, we will make you turn round and run to another, trapped in a labyrinth of death. Back and forth, up and down, side to side, 6, 7, 8 times. We toy with you like mice in a trap. Then we will deport you so you can never return, or we will kill you. So what has this got to do with Bath and North East Somerset Council? With the Balfour Declaration, the UK is responsible for giving away Palestinian land to Zionists. The UK is directly responsible for the ruthless persecution of the indigenous Palestinians and for the facilitation of the Nakba, a reign of terror which has gone on for 76 years. The Nakba didn't end in 1948. It is an ongoing campaign of ethnic cleansing, violence, and occupation. On the 14th of March this year, Baines Council published a statement from which I quote, "We would like to express deep sympathy for all those affected by the conflict in Palestine and Israel. To those in the Bath and North East Somerset area who have been affected by this conflict, we offer our support during this difficult time." So please tell us what practical support you have offered to the people affected since the statement was made. Words are not enough. As far as we are aware, you have made no attempts to follow through on your statement. Are you aware of the abuse that people with brown skin living in Bath have received since October the 7th last year? This abuse happens on a regular basis coming from racists and Zionists. The residents of Bath are proposing that Baines councillors pass a resolution to lobby the government. We would like them to implement a refugee scheme for Palestinians, similar to the Ukrainian scheme. It's been done before, it can be done again, and it's the very least that we can do. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Any factual questions, Councillor Guy?
Thank you, Jim. No factual questions, Chair.
Councillor Moss?
No questions.
Councillor Blackburn?
Thank you for your statement. No factual questions.
Councillor Wright?
Hi, thank you for your statement, Jane. Are you aware that the Baines Constitution incorporates the Human Rights Act within it?
Well, that's good to hear. I'd like to know, as I said, what practical efforts have been made to reach out to Palestinians, Palestinian heritage people in Bath and North East Somerset since the statement was made. Thank you.
Councillor Warren?
No, thank you.
Okay. Just to reassure you that your statement will go back to the relevant cabinet member. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
So, Maria Duffy?
Good evening. The UK has a long and proud history of welcoming refugees to its towns and cities, and Bath can rightfully take pride in itself on how swiftly it rolled out the Homes for Ukraine scheme and how those families benefited from having a dedicated team to help arrange their visas, to being hosted by local residents or fast-tracked to secure housing, as well as help with enrolling their children into local schools. The support from the Council has been admirable. I understand that the government set aside £150 million to assist the Ukrainian people with settling into the UK. What was the amount allocated to Baines and how was that implemented? I just want to see a bigger picture, and there's no disrespect meant in my question at all. Will the Council support our MP, Wera Hobhouse, who has joined cross-party MPs in striving for peace and the urgent need to get aid into Gaza? Baines Council is part of the governments of this country, and I feel that it should act in the same way it did for the Ukrainian people fleeing the war in their country. And without wishing to minimise the suffering or the plight of the Ukrainian people, I must point out that the Palestinian people and children are not at war with Israel. They are victims of genocide. If anything, these people should be treated as asylum seekers, as they are being terrorised in their own country. Will the Council also commit to rolling out a similar scheme for Palestinians who have managed to escape the country and need sanctuary and have relatives right here in Bath or the South West ready to support them? There are Bath residents with family members trapped in Gaza suffering the most unimaginable horrors. Some have lost many members of their family in ways that are too horrific to repeat. Whilst they continue to live and work and study in Bath, they pay taxes and contribute to society, yet their voices go unheard. The Council must engage with Palestinian residents of Bath and commit to assisting them in the same way that they did for Ukrainians. We all have a moral duty to help the Palestinians in whatever way we can, no matter how small. We are global citizens with plenty of information at hand, minute-by-minute news and graphic footage of massacres being pumped into our living rooms through our TV screens. As a Lib Dem council, you should be supporting Vera and listening to the people of Bath, as she has done, regarding the atrocities. Bombing innocent civilians and children that have already been displaced is not self-defense, it is genocide. It is not merely a conflict, it is 75 years and 77 months of occupation, land theft, apartheid and massacres by the IOF. Now is the time to choose which side of history you want Bath to be remembered for. Its humanitarian, kind spirit, or for being a bystander and ignoring the cries of the desperate. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Factual question from Councillor Guy.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for Marie. You raised some valid points, and I hope the government do offer us the finances and support to maybe implement some of the things that you say, but no factual question. Thank you very much.
Councillor Moss.
Thank you for your statement. I'd agree about, would you agree that offering family support is something that's recognised across the chamber, but agree the difficulty is it's the government give the visas, not Baines?
Well, they were facilitated by a dedicated team at Baines, weren't they? The visa scheme.
Can I say and it's a declaration of interest, that my wife and I are actually accommodating a couple from Ukraine, but we had to fill out with them via Facebook their visa application, which went to the Home Office and kept our fingers crossed. Once they arrived at Bath bus station, things were fine, but it's that visa that we don't have control over.
It's just that the people I've spoken to said there was a dedicated team and they just, were able to facilitate the visa pretty quickly because the war was February, wasn't it? Started February. And by May through to August, everything seemed to, gather pace, which was great because, they were able to, yes, visas are a nightmare, I understand that. But apparently the people I've been speaking to said it was really, really refreshing to hear how dedicated and how swiftly they managed to get those visas for their guests.
Can I say that? And I'm sorry, abusing whatever Karen. That wasn't Angie and my experience. No, the experience once that Stas and Nikita actually got to Baines with the support from officers was second to none, and the support that we got as a family. But the bizarre process of working by Facebook Messenger to a couple in Montenegro, helping them fill out a form, was something I would not want to repeat.
Well,
thank you, Robin.
I just wanted to, sort of highlight what somebody had said, what a couple of people have said to me. And I know that, people in Bath have got big hearts. I always say this, I'm fairly new here. Small city, big hearts. And I just would love to see the same kindness and hospitality extended to really desperate people.
Thank you, Maria.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I think Councillor Guy quickly wanted to come back in.
Yeah, the team that you're on about is a designated team that helps refugees from Ukraine once they've been allocated to us. And as Councillor Moss has pointed out, when they are here, we do provide an exceptional service. So again, to my earlier point, if the government provide that particular service for any other country, including Palestine, Bath and North Somerset is a very welcoming place, and we would happily provide that same service.
Absolutely, thank you.
Councillor Blackburn.
Thank you for your statement, but no factual questions.
Councillor Wright.
Thank you for your statement, but no factual questions. I'm also just checking, Chair, that the conversation that just happened now between the leader and Councillor Moss is allowed at this point because they weren't factual questions.
I think they were speaking in support of the statement that Maria has just given. Thank you. So, Councillor Warren.
No factual questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for.
Thank you very much.
So, may I ask Mohammed Al-Rozo to come up, please?
Good afternoon. Today I stand before you to ask a fundamental question. How much do you really care about Palestinians? Last time I addressed this council, I spoke about the plight of the Palestinians, left alone in their struggle for survival. Yet, paradoxically, they are not alone. This government is complicit in their ongoing suffering. No sanctions, no arm embargo, no ceasefire. Nothing has been done so far to alleviate their pain and suffering. In a previous council meeting, when I expressed these concerns, the response was dismissive. A question about my experience living in Bath under these circumstances was brushed aside in favor of adhering strictly to the agenda. This disregard speaks volumes about the invisibilization, dehumanization, and hypocrisy against us. It reveals a chilling indifference, not just to me, but to the regular protest in Bath, a cry for attention and help that goes unheard. And Nakba, which we commemorated 76 years ago, we are commemorating the anniversary, occurred because of the British promise to establish a homeland of the Jewish group in Palestine at the expense of its indigenous population. Would you contest this fact? The position of the UK hasn't changed since then, despite international law and hundreds of UN resolutions affirming Palestinian rights to self-determination, and the plausibility of genocide in the ICJ ruling in the case of South Africa vis-à-vis Israel. How many of you have truly asked about me, about my life, about how we cope? How do we cope every minute? Receiving the news, phone buzzing. Have you checked about our families? How are they doing? Have you offered any kind of help? Have you counted how many Palestinians are there and what kind of support can be offered to them? Despite numerous e-petitions calling for family reunion schemes for those impacted in Gaza, this government remains passive. Their action contrasts with their response to other global crises, including the war in Ukraine, which reveal a selective empathy based on geopolitical interest. This stance shatters an illusion of democracy. It erodes the belief in society that value pluralism and diversity. Today you have shown that there is no universal standards or humanity, only these dictated by political convenience. I'm concluding. I would like to conclude by a quote by a Palestinian writer who said, "To see the picture with all of its details as deadly and treacherous and unrelenting as it is, the Nakba will not last forever. The world is changing because it must."
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Councillor Guy, do you have a factual question?
Thank you, Chair. And I'd like to thank the Speaker for his moving statement, but no factual questions.
Councillor Moss?
Thank you. I'd like to thank you for your statements, but no factual questions.
Councillor Blackburn?
Thank you for your statement, but no factual questions.
Councillor Wright?
Thank you for your statement. As a resident of Bath and North East Somerset, are you aware of anything the council has done to support you?
None. I haven't been receiving any contact, any messages, any follow-up from my last conversation, any checking. Actually, my last statement was, the factual question which was asked in this council was invalidated, which I found distressing, to be honest, because it was about how I experienced living here as one of the residents, let alone checking about what could this council do, just in preparation.
I think you actually answered the question.
Okay.
Thank you. So, Councillor Warren?
No, but thank you very much. But thank you for speaking.
Thank you, Mohammed.
Thank you.
Bajdu Labek, please.
I like to ask everyone in this room for help and save my family and save the people in Gaza. There is no more time to waste. There is not more time to waste before to be too late. 1948, my family there lost everything, and they were forced to go to Gaza. After they tried to build their life again, worked very hard. They managed to do 5-star house and the best restaurant in Gaza and the best coffee shop in Gaza. And then again, the army of Israel destroyed everything, absolutely everything. Is no anywhere safe in Gaza. Is no anywhere safe in Gaza. I was texting my cousin another day, and he stopped texting me. After I asked him what happened, he said to me, was my neighbor house bombed, and 5 children killed, and their parents killed too. And I was thinking, that can be my family situation anytime. So please again, to help for family scheme. No more time we can lose before be too late. So please, to help your British citizen to be able to bring their family to safety, especially high-risk people, for example, children and old people, until be safe to go back. So please use your power. Do anything to save the children. The situation there, we can't. Absolutely, we can't explain how bad it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Majesty. Any factual questions, Councillor Guy?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your moving statement, but no factual questions.
Thank you.
Councillor Moss?
Thank you for that very powerful statement. Take that message, but no factual questions. Thank you.
Councillor Blackburn?
Yes, thank you for your statement, but no factual question.
Councillor Wright?
Thank you very much for your powerful statement, but I have no factual questions. Thank you.
Councillor Warren?
No, but again, thank you very much, but no factual questions.
Thank you for your time. Thank you. We don't take we don't take questions from the public, sorry. It's only from group leaders. If you can do that afterwards, then we will deal with that. Thank you. May I ask Malcolm Robinson to come forward? Thank you.
Change of topic. This is a statement in support of the Sydney Road Liverpool Neighbourhood Traffic Scheme. Council, there are currently too many vehicle journeys across our beautiful city. You know this, I know this, most people in the room know this, but it's residents like me and my community who live in the city of Bath that endure the cumulative impact of this vehicle behaviour, pollution, noise, the risk to pedestrians, etc. The solution is to make space and encourage a greater proportion of non-vehicle journeys. And the Sydney Road LN is a small measure as part of a wider Bath project designed to achieve this. Walking, strolling, wheeling, ambling, perambulating, whatever is your bag, the Sydney Road LN creates a small, safe space to move around without fear of being run down by a rat runner from Bathampton trying to get to Waitrose before it closes. Other more appropriate and better built roads are available. Since the intervention, I now see children being dropped off below Sydney Gardens and walk up a safe and pleasant Sydney Road to school. Children walking to school. Who knew it? Can you believe it? There are more cyclists, there are more pedestrians, people chat in the street. Our community is coming back to life. Engagement with our LN has been very high all the way from conception to implementation. Our community survey attracted the most respondents of any in Bath and achieved an overwhelming positive response, the highest of any LN to date, and our co-design workshops were also the best attended in the whole of Bath. Council, the process works. Our local community has been on board from the beginning and remains to this day engaged and strongly in support of the scheme. Change is good. It can be hard, it can be noisy and grumpy, but please stay the course. Remember the bigger plan. Collect the data, look at the evidence, ignore the rhetoric, and please see your way to making the scheme permanent following the current trial. Thank you.
Thank you, Malcolm. Councillor Guy, do you have any factual questions?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Malcolm, for your statement. Thank you very much.
Councillor Moss?
Thanks for the statement. No factual questions.
Councillor Blackburn?
Yeah, thank you for your statement. Malcolm, how many households are actually benefiting in your community from this LN compared to the hundreds of households who are actually bearing the brunt of increased pollution and congestion from the displaced traffic?
I can't give you a number. I'm not an urban planner. But as I said in my statement... Oh, okay.
Yeah, you said no, so that's fine. That's an answer.
Okay.
Thank you. Councillor Wright.
Bertus Thascius Helders.
Thank you for your statement. Congestion on Beckford Road can make it dangerous to cross Beckford Road when entering and exiting the canal towpath. Would you welcome a crossing for people walking and cycling there?
Sorry, could you just repeat the question? Sorry.
My question was about Beckford Road and the congestion there, which was already there before the livable neighbourhood. Would you welcome a crossing there for people walking and cycling to get from the canal towpath to the other side?
I don't live in Beckford Road, but I'm sure if the residents of Beckford Road wanted a crossing, they could ask for one.
Councillor Warren.
No factual questions, thank you. I'd have asked similar to Councillor Blackburn.
Thank you, Malcolm. Richard Andrews.
Oh, we do get to see it. We start speaking, we go down to 3.
More of the same, I'm afraid. I live in Sydney Road and have some comments in support of the recently installed livable neighbourhood trial at New Sydney Place and Sydney Road. Our house fronts Sydney Road, and I have an excellent view of traffic flow up and down the road. Prior to the trial, we endure constant through traffic and constant traffic noise, starting around 6:30 a.m. and easing off around 6:30 p.m. Few drivers appeared to observe the speed limit of 20 miles an hour, probably none in the rush hours, and very few drove below 30. Baines has now provided a much safer environment, free from speeding traffic, for both residents of the area and the many visitors to Sydney Gardens. The trial has closed Sydney Road as a through road, and through traffic must use Beckford Road as the route to and from the Warminster Road and the A36. As residents of Sydney Road, we must also take this route to and from the A36, which we have done many times. Outside the rush hours and at weekends, we have found that journeys to and from home take little or no time more than before the trial. There are still the usual delays in the rush hours, but these are not excessive. Prior to the trial, ambulances, sirens wailing, would come down Sydney Road on a regular basis. I contacted the South Western Ambulance Service as I was concerned that a traffic filter would impede emergency services. I was told that the closure of Sydney Road would not cause significant delays, as ambulances would simply use Beckford Road. Our neighbourhood has been transformed since the trial began. There are more pedestrians and cyclists on the road. Instead of traffic noise, we now hear birdsong, and we live in a quiet environment, which I believe is a reasonable expectation in a residential area. I fully support this livable neighbourhood, and at the end of the trial would recommend that the level of any inconvenience through traffic be weighed carefully against both the major safety considerations and the recreation of what is now and should continue to be a quiet residential neighbourhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Councillor Guy, do you have any factual questions?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Richard, but no factual questions.
Councillor Moss?
Thank you for the statement, but no factual questions.
Councillor Blackburn?
Yeah, thank you for your statement, Richard. I'll ask you the same question that Malcolm couldn't answer, is how many households in your community are actually benefiting from this LN compared to the hundreds of households that are bearing the brunt of that increased pollution and congestion from the displaced traffic?
Well, I wouldn't agree that there is...
It was a number, Richard. I'm asking you for a number of...
Oh, you just want a factual statement? I would say about 40, 60, 70.
Councillor Wright?
For your statement, no factual questions.
Councillor Warren?
No, thank you. No factual questions.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
Mary Allen, please.
Yep. I'm Mary Allen. I live in New Sydney Place and I'm a friend of Sydney Gardens. This is very much a personal statement, which I hope you'll agree is appropriate. When we're talking about a livable neighbourhood, it is more important to hear from those who actually live in that neighbourhood than it is from those who just drive through it. Livable neighbourhoods look, amongst other things, to encourage active travel and improve the public realm. I would like to talk this evening about the importance of protecting Sydney Gardens as a public space at the heart of our neighbourhood. We are still in the early days of the Ettrier trial, but I'd already like to declare it a success. Others will be monitoring footfall, traffic flows and pollution levels, perhaps identifying issues and suggesting improvements. The evidence of my own eyes shows that Sydney Gardens has been triumphantly restored to the community in which it sits. The gardens and the surrounding built landscape were designed to work together. This connection had been eroded by dangerous rat running, creating a hazardous divide between the gardens, local residents and visitors. Now it's a pleasure to see parents with young children on bikes, scooters and in buggies have easy, stress-free access to the gardens and the wonderful playground, as well as the elderly and less able moving freely around in this reclaimed safe space. If there isn't space on the rather narrow pavement for a buggy, a bike, a scooter, a wheelchair or a walking aid, then walking or riding on the road is an option. Dog walkers like myself are no longer forced to dodge speeding traffic. People can linger on the pavement without fear of losing their head to debris bouncing off a speeding flatbed truck, and this very nearly did happen. Cyclists now have a safe through route, and distressingly we've seen too many of them injured on our doorstep. We have been freed from the tyranny of the motor vehicle. Restricting through traffic has proved the only way to achieve this. The 20-mile-an-hour speed limit was ignored routinely and flagrantly. Motorists who were using Sydney Road and New Sydney Place to avoid a red traffic light and save 10 to 30 seconds on their journey time are the very least likely to observe a 20-mile speed limit. Our brave speed watch volunteers have witnessed cars racing through at twice or even 3 times the speed limit. Sydney Gardens is entering its 3rd century. It's a glorious asset to the City of Bath. It's an historic pleasure garden, and now, after major investment and the effort of volunteers, it's offering new pleasures, the new pleasure of fabulous playground, tennis and baton courts, as well as open green spaces, imaginative planting, restored pavilions, and of course the Holborn Museum. Thank you, Baines, for putting this space at the heart of the community where it belongs.
Thank you, Mary. Councillor Guy?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Mary, but no factual questions.
Councillor Moss?
Thank you for your statement, but no factual questions.
Councillor Blackburn?
Thank you for your statement, but no factual questions.
Councillor Wright?
Thank you for your statement, but no factual questions.
Councillor Warren?
Questions, thank you.
Thank you, Mary. I'd like to thank all the public speakers that have come here tonight, and all their statements will be sent to the relevant cabinet member. So that brings us to the end of the public speakers. We're now on to statements from councillors. I would like to invite Councillor Box to make her statement, please.
Thank you, Chair. I think we can all agree that there are many pressures on us as residents and our humans in this modern era. So the campaign from Plant Life, adopted by Bath and North East Somerset Council, to encourage those of us with the privilege of a lawn to simply not cut it, is fantastic on many levels. I discovered the wonders of No Mow May by accident last year. I was mother of a young toddler, pregnant again, with my NHS job, and just being elected to this lovely institution, after an exhausting campaign, I'll be honest, I hadn't cut the lawn. Ours is tiny, maybe 10 paces long, but we had decided to plant it when we bought the house and prevent the Labradors from using it as their toilet. And that's when we discovered the beauty of this campaign. As the grass grew, all these little critters had hiding places and new homes. We had some different and interesting wildflowers to enjoy. Then the memorable evening of the resident frog making his first appearance. That summer, the toddler got obsessed with looking for snoog. We were graced with newts, bumblebees, and even a slow worm. I truly think one of my son's first words was woodlouse. This year, the toddler and I have planted wildflower seeds. The grass is already to his chest, and I'm excited to see what we will find this time around. I absolutely love this campaign, and I'm so grateful, as a council, we have adopted it. The importance of biodiversity in this climate catastrophe has long been understood by scientists, but only now, possibly, coming more into the public eye. The recent State of Nature report remains damning for the UK in regard to our biodiversity loss. If we are to face the challenges we have ahead, we need to consider wildlife as well as greenhouse gas emissions. Sadly, we as individuals can often feel powerless to man-made change in our environment, but No Mow May has been shown to make a positive impact in our local ecosystem with even a small section of a lawn. And it's so wonderful to discover nature rapidly reclaiming that lawn, but perhaps the cleverest bit is that you just have to sit back, watch and enjoy. Please try it yourself if you can. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Box. Any factual questions? Councillor Guy?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Anna, for your statement, but no factual questions.
Councillor Moss?
Thank you for your statement, Anna. I hope you'd agree that all of us here believe in the principle of no mow, whether it May, June, whatever, but as long as that grass verges on the side of the roads near junctions are mowed because of safety concerns.
Absolutely, Councillor Moss. Living in the Chew Valley, road safety is vital, and I must say I agree with your response.
Councillor Blackburn?
Yeah, thank you very much for your statement. My question is about your wildflower seeds, and purely personal. I was fortunate enough to take on a property 7 years ago, a piece of grass that hadn't been cut, or a piece of garden hadn't been cut for over 50 years, and I've continued it.
Is this a factual question?
Yeah, the question is, how do you deal with wild flower seeds after May? Because I've sown some. Do I cut them?
I'm going to say, as a personal response, no. So we're not going to cut, and in time we're going to do a little mow, a teeny path to the rhubarb.
Thank you. Councillor Wright?
Thank you for your statement, Councillor Box. Living in the Chew Valley, would you support a rights of nature?
Can you elaborate on that? Is that a report?
Would you support a rights of nature for us to ensure that we protect nature as much as human rights?
Councillor Wright, that's, you're asking an opinion. So if you can just rephrase your question, then it can go ahead.
I'm sorry, but the Councillor Box asked me to rephrase the question, hence why I did. My question was, living in the Dew Valley, would you support a rights of nature?
Can I? Yeah, we'll just move on with it, I think. So we'll move on to Councillor Warren now.
Yeah, do you agree that the factual questions seem to have gone out the window tonight? So, so I'll just do the 10-minute speech now, which is still leaving about 20 minutes short of Councillor Moss over there. And Councillor Blackburn, actually, if you mow your wildflowers and pick it up, then you'll retain the nice wildflowers and you won't get the rubbish that takes over. Talk to me later.
Thank you for that, Councillor Warren.
So yellow rattle. Yellow rattle is a really good one to use.
Just talk Timmy time questions.
Right, we'll move on to Councillor Malloy's statement, please.
Thank you. Well, this is about voting rights for EU citizens, so just to bring something to your attention if you weren't already aware. And I have to just start off by saying not all change is necessarily positive in reference to what was said earlier. Anyway, so this council has been interested in the issue of voting rights for some time. We've also been interested in the situation faced by EU citizens in Bath and North East Somerset following the UK's departure from the European Union. I want to bring the issue of voting rights and EU citizens back into the spotlight because changes brought in very recently as part of the Elections Act 2022 will have a negative impact on local democracy. By the way, the Elections Act 2022 was also brought in the introduction of compulsory photo ID, among other things, at polling stations. So I wish to express my concern about the disenfranchisement of some of our residents, which will clearly reduce their ability to engage in our local democracy. Unless they also have a UK or Irish nationality or that of a Commonwealth country, EU citizens cannot vote or stand as a candidate in UK Parliament elections. And this is not new, so we know that. However, since the 7th of May 2024, the rights of many EU citizens to engage in our local democracy has been further curtailed. For EU citizens residing in England, and there are differences between the nations, England, Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales, but in England, where we are, this new legislation applies to local elections, mayoral elections and police and crime commissioner elections. From now on, the only EU citizens living in Bath and North East Somerset who will be able to register to vote or to stand as a candidate in these elections will be citizens of Denmark, Luxembourg, Poland, Portugal and Spain who live here permanently and have permission to enter or stay in the UK, citizens of the Republic of Ireland because of the common travel area arrangements between the two countries which predate membership of the European Union, and citizens of Malta and Cyprus because in addition to being member states of the European Union, these are also Commonwealth countries. Any citizen, though, of another EU member state who, on or before the 31st of December 2020, which is when we officially left the European Union now, was legally resident in the UK and has continued to reside here without a break, someone, in other words, with settled status, may also continue to vote and stand as a candidate in any of the aforementioned elections. However, if you are an EU citizen who arrived here on or after the 1st of January 2021, and you are not from one of the so-called eligible EU countries already mentioned, with which the UK has a reciprocal agreement, you will no longer be able to vote or to stand as a candidate in local elections, mayoral, or police and crime commissioner elections. This reduced political participation cannot be good for our local democracy. We need a fair and just system of representation. So, yeah, okay.
Thank you.
That's it, really. Thank you.
Councillor Guy, do you have any factual questions?
And thank you, Councillor Malloy. Would you say that Brexit has significantly damaged our local democracy?
Not just our local democracy.
Right, Councillor Moss.
Thanks for the statement, Ruth. I've got no factual questions because I'm worried about what Councillor Warren would say if I did say anything.
Councillor Blackburn.
Thank you for the statement, but no factual question.
Councillor Wright.
Thank you. I'd like to defer to Councillor Helgers.
Thank you. Thank you for your statement. Do you know how many EU citizens are affected in Bath and North East Somerset?
No, I don't have the actual figures, but as I said, it will only affect people who arrive after that date be the 1st of January 2021. However, it's disenfranchising, and it very much, it depends on which country they come from.
Thank you.
So it's
Councillor
not-
Warren.
No, thank you.
So both those statements will be sent back to relevant Cabinet members, so that brings our meeting to a close. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your evening.